Hi and welcome to my tutorial. I am Zim Wolf. Straight off, I'm not one of the best map makers in the world. I'm far from it actually. There's geniuses out there like Brad G, Shadow and guys like that. But what I have noticed is that there is a serious um, lack of map making tutorials for XMed on YouTube. So I'm going to make this quickly for YouTube, right? So let's get started right with it now. Um, I'm going to go to my games folder. Now I assume that you've installed your XMed, and I do everything for JOIC International Conflict. But if you notice here inside my XMed, I have JOE, JO, and JOIC. So depending on what you're going to build maps for, you install the XMEDs for each one that you do. There's also ICE, International Conflict Europe, which I don't have. I'm going to go ahead with JOIC. These can all be found on sites like DF Barracks, um, hardmaps.com. Also have a lot of download stuff and that. Pretty good bunch of guys, that lot. But anyway, um, yeah, mine's already downloaded and installed. I don't bother teaching you guys on that. There's enough stuff out there to learn on how to do all of that. Right, this is what you get when you open her up. Usual shit. Your CHD is your different height levels and that. I'll show you how that works. Your P1, P2 is for you can load two maps at once. Reason being you can take stuff off one map, copy it, put it on another map. Your layers, self-explanatory, unselect all, self-explanatory. You'll need to get very used to unselect all. It's something that you use all the time. And 3D wireframe, you'll see how that works in the near future as well. You got your snap on the left hand side here. Your grid automatically starts at 512 meters. Your plus and minus can bring it down to 128, 64, 32 and smaller. And you have your snap to grid, which you will learn how to use in due course. So to start off, you want to start making a map. By now, you've obviously got an idea of what you want to do. I'm going to just start off with a pretty easy terrain and that. So you've got a general information. Open your general information blocks. Choose a mission name. We're going to choose a mission for this one. We're going to call it YouTube tutorial mission IC. The IC at the end is to tell you that it'll have IC parts in it. Choose your mission designer. In this case, some wolf. And choose your terrain. You've got loads of terrains. Obviously, if you're just doing in JO, you've got less. If you're doing it in international conflict, escalation, you'll have more, and international conflict, you have even more. And I'm sure with ICE, which has come along after international conflict, there's even more. But I've only got international conflict. I'm going to go for flat desert. Yeah. Mission tiles, you don't have to put anything. Mission type, you don't have to put anything. Choose what you want to do. I do cooperative maps, obviously death matches, King of the Hills, Team King of the Hill, those are easier. You only have to put a bunch of buildings in and two start areas and then kill each other. But no, we do real maps and real map playing. So I'm going to go with cooperative. Right, in the middle section here, you've got your win conditions and your lose conditions. Let's keep it simple. And we'll just say eliminate all resistance. And it's a critical item, yes. You'll also have your water levels here. If you tick this, you can select what water level you want. You can select what color it is using a color palette. Go to your color palette on your Paint Shop Pro or Paint Shop, and you can choose the digits there and you can fill them in and it'll make the water that color. Or the work percentage. You also have your fog distance, which you can choose how foggy you want it to be, and you can also choose fog color. You have your environment files, which is your desert 1, desert 2. I'm not sure what exactly all the environment files are. I haven't found anyone online that shows them all to you yet. I just stick to full 00 at the moment. The start time of the day, 1500 hours, you can see on the right hand side here. You can choose whatever start time of the day or night you want it to be. We'll leave it at 1500 hours. You've got minutes per day. This is how long during a map running for 1,440 minutes. It will go from 1500 to 1500. You'll go through a 24-hour cycle as long as you're running that long. You can set them longer or shorter. I set mine shorter so that in the hours game you're going to go through day and night. You can set to start with night vision goggles. No bother doing stuff like that at this moment unless you're doing a night map. You can choose your weather. Nice day, rain or snow. I said it's a nice day. You've got a whole lot of other stuff down the bottom here, which I've never really played with, and I don't intend to start right now. So, once you've got this information in, click OK. That's what you get. Right, I'll show you where the height stuff comes in now. The CHD on the top left-hand corner there. If you go that, it looks like that. I don't know what that is for. I've never used that, but that there is important. Anything black is flat ground. So if you put a building on it, it will be on flat ground. If it's grey, it means that it is risen ground, which means a building may be flying in the air if the point of the building is touching a raised area and it's not set to go all the way to the bottom. You'll figure that out as you go. I'll show you how to fix that quickly, but that's the way it is there. Right. So you start off. Now, I'm pretty finicky when it comes to map making. I like to keep my map making very clean and tidy. So at this point, I go to my edit file again, and I go to groups. You'll notice group 1 and 2 is already filled in. I start at group 3, and I start in alphabetical order. So what I will do is I will put in buildings. Then I will put in foliage. Then I will put in, buildings, decorations, then foliage, and then vehicles, V-E-H-I-C-S. This all comes to its own when you see. Close that groups, go back in there. Then I go to layer names again. Start at number 3 because I started group number 3. And I'll do the same things again. Buildings, decorations, foliage, and vehicles. Okay. As you make bigger maps, you'll see where that all comes into its own. Obviously, as maps get bigger, it gets more confusing about what's going on inside there. So this way, you can take layers and you can hide them away and work on other things. Right, at this point, let me have a quick squiz, see what I'm doing. General information, global, replace groups. We will get onto waypoints at some point. We will get on to events. Briefing doesn't work. Area triggers is at a much later date. Player waypoint names, never use them, but I will have a look into that. And teleport targets is at a very much later date. View, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. Tools, I don't know how much of this stuff actually works, to be honest with you. I know Nile has stuff that works, and we have stuff that works. Page 1 and 2, which is your P1 and P2. Okay, let's get down to business. To zoom in, use your plus key. Obviously, if your grid is set to 512, it'll zoom in very quickly in a very big space. If you need to zoom in small increments, then you need to make this down. What we'll do is we end up taking that down to 1 meter increments just now, and I will show you why. Change to D, go to the number 88888666666, and that moves us around. So that's moving around using the keypad. Moving this down to 256, 128, you'll see now we move in smaller increments. Okay, so I get more to the center of what I am doing. I can now go back to C because I know what I'm looking at now. Now, to start putting stuff into your map, let's start off pretty quickly by going to insert mode. Once you go to insert mode, you hit that left key and your insert item will open up. Right, you've got insert item, you've got all and all the rest of it. Basically, you can choose from all, or you can go to airport and it'll show you the stuff that's in the airport, or the buildings for the airport, the decorations for the airport. Airports have no foliage. Markers is a different objects, is different people, power-ups, utilities, and vehicles. So we'll go over all, we'll unclick that. Okay. Let's start off with the markers. Markers are things like your spawns, your area trigger points, your stuff like that. It also has sounds, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, these are all your sounds, and I'll show you later on how sounds work and where you put them and how they work. But there you can see sound, critter, rainforest, spider monkey can be heard for up to 200 meters from where it is placed in. But like I say, we're not going to look at that right now. We're going to move straight along to start player. Boom. And zooming in. There is our start player. I'm going to bring him more to the middle, so you do that by right clicking and that brings a drop down, and you can edit item attributes and deselect and groups and all the rest of it. Okay, so if I zoom in on him, it shows that he is facing sort of, let's say, north up, because that's his arrow, right? Minus 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 key, and it zooms out a bit. Right, so that's the player. That's who you are. That's how you're going to start. Let's put something else in. Insert. And let's go for a building. As I flick through, you see all the different buildings. Obviously, if you've got JOIC in that, you will have more buildings than you will have in Joint Operations or Joint Operations Escalation. I'm going to choose this one, which is the Mobile Armory, and I'm going to put them there. Now, this is a good place where bringing down your grid references, because 128 meters is a lot of space. Okay, so if I right click, turn off insert mode, go 1, 2, 3, minus 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 on the grid, down to 1 meter intervals, and I zoom right in, you can see we're actually quite a long way. We're several meters away from it. So if you click on her, select her, click move, and bring it a bit closer. There you go. There's your building. Right. Zoom out. Let's right click quickly, put an insert, put a marker, and drop it down to waypoints. I mean, this is very quick, guys. This is very, very quick. There's a waypoint. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Put another waypoint over here. Bada boom, bada bang. right click, insert mode, off. Okay, go to edit, drop down, go to waypoints, number 1, go blue points, or whatever you wish to call it. Waypoint does not loop. That means it will not come back on itself. It will just be a straight line from A to B. Blue team means we see it. Red team means the bad guys see it. Okay, now you click the one you put in first, the one you put in second. Click on the left hand side, which will open your item attributes, or you can right click and edit item attributes there. On your item attributes, this is what you got. You've got your 3 sections, right? You've got your layer, okay? You've got your X, Y, and Z. This shows how far left, how far right, or how far high it is. You have got your heading, which I will teach you that in a much later date again, how that works. Then you got your AI variables. Okay, this is your artificial intelligence variables. Team, we can change this to blue because it's our waypoints. Okay, nothing else to really do there. Go to right side waypoints, drop it down to blue, make sure that's on 0. Set navigation waypoint, hit OK, and bada boom, bada bang, you have got a orange line. Okay, so what will happen now is unselect all. Always remember unselect all, because if you click on something else, it selects 2 things then. And if you move something, then it moves 2 things all over the place, and it can very quickly get very confusing. So what will happen now is you'll come into the map. You will see in front of you your armory, and I'm actually going to rotate this little guy around. Go down to group rotate, turn, back 1. Okay, so he should come out now facing the waypoints. Save, very, very important. Always save, always, 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 always save. I can't say it enough. Save. So the best thing to do is go to your general information, highlight your mission name, right click and copy it, and click OK. You don't want to save them as 2 different names, because in the game it'll show up as a different name to what it will on the file. Go to File, Save As. This will be in your file, in your game file, and click and paste, and type, it says there, YouTube tutorial mission IC, and click save. Right, that's it. That's basically the first part put in. Let's move on. Right, we've got, so you got your waypoints in, you've got your first building in. What you can do now is, obviously when you start building a map, well, the way I do it is I get some ideas. I generally put it down on a piece of paper what I want to do. I want to do, the guys have got to do 1, 2, 3 things to win the game, and they've got to go to 3 different places maybe, and at these places, one place is going to be maybe a shanty town, or one place is going to be a villa, or one place is going to be a town, or you got to choose all of that kind of information. You got to get an idea of what you want to put in. It's a bit of a story. You make it into a bit of a story. So we're just going to go through. I mean, this isn't going to be a proper co-op, but this is just going to be a tutorial, as you know. So we're just going to. And now, if you see now, I'm moving, but it's moving very small because obviously it's set to 1 meter increments. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide her down, and we're going to put some buildings in, so I can show you how to use the 1 meter snap to the 1 meter grid, and why we snap to the 1 meter grid. Sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger, but this will show you what I'm talking about. Right. So at this point, I'm going to put in some buildings, and we'll choose some of the more common buildings so you can see what's going on. Right click, insert mode. Let me just check quickly. Okay. Right. Buildings. Scrolling down. I'm just using my arrow keys to scroll down. Down arrow takes you through, and obviously you've got your little picture on the top right hand there that shows you what it is. These are the walls, different buildings, different bunkers. For example, this one says with interior, which means you'll be able to get inside it, look around. More I see buildings. That's a Black Hawk Down corridor. No, that's a bit big. We'll stay small for a bit. We will choose something like I have an idea of what I want to choose. There we go. Let's choose something like this. Alright, that gives you also an idea of how big it is. I mean, these are, as you know, meter increments, and that's quite a big building. That if you choose on the left hand side here, info, which it's on now. So if I right click, come off insert mode, click on it. On the left hand side, you'll see the info is now filled in. I'll give you a quick rundown of what that is. You click on that and it'll open up your item attributes again. So this is where all your layers and groups come in. So under layer, I will drop this down and I'll select buildings. Under group, I'll stick it in buildings again. I leave it as natural green because it's no one's, okay? It doesn't have to be a mission critical item because it doesn't make a difference to the mission at all. It's just there to look good. You click OK and you come out of it. Also, actually going back in quickly, if you take a look at this box in the top here, you've got type building, social security number 5. This is going to become quite important a little bit later on in the game when you start attaching bad guys to vehicles or to guns, and you want them to start shooting. You need the social security numbers, the SSNs, for the vehicles and the people in that. But again, that comes in a little bit of time. It's not going to be long now before I show you that. So we'll leave that at that. Okay. So we've got one building in. Click it again so it unselects. Remember, always unselect. Zoom out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right click, insert mode. This usually picks up where you left off. So if I click it again, it'll be back in those same buildings again. That's the other one from this building, and I'm going to put it in there. You see now we've put one building on top of another building, and they've overlapped each other. So I can right click, take off my insert mode, click on the building I've put in, click move, put it down. If I put snap to 1 meters now, it will snap to, just move the screen down a bit, to 1 meter increments. Okay. So like for example, yeah, if you want to leave a meter between these two buildings, if you move it down, it'll leave a meter through there. But the problem is, well, it's not a problem actually. I just need to take both these buildings. Now you see what I mean by if you don't unselect. As soon as you click on the other building, it selected both of them. But I want to move them both, so that's okay. So then I'll move both buildings, and it's still, you don't really see it because it's so short increments, but it is moving in 1 meter increments. Unselect all. That's got both buildings there. I'll show you quickly the 3D wireframe, and this is where this is horrible compared to Nile. Nile, you can actually see a 3D picture of the item. You can sort of see a 3D picture here. If I select it, and on the left hand side here, instead of info, I select thumbnail. I can see what the picture was that we saw to select this building. But if I go 3D wireframe, that's what you see. To zoom in, use the plus key on your keypad again, on your number pad. To rotate, 6 or 4, and you rotate the building round, and you can obviously see it as it is. Whatever's red is generally sort of underground. Well, in this case, you can see the brown line there is the ground line, and it's set to the ground level. You rotate it back again. So that's what you're dealing with. So you have to have a pretty good idea in your head of what these buildings actually do look like in the game, so that you can work with them. 3D wireframe off. There you go. Let's say, for example, on this building here, this back building, we want to give it a little garden out to the back. All right. So I'm going to put a little fence around there, and this is where the snap to will come into its own. So I'm going to make it bigger so that I can move things a bit quicker. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, using my number pad and using 8 to move up, 2 to move down, well, 8 to move down, 2 to move up, 6 left, and 4 right. Go back to my 1 meters, right click, insert mode. This time I'm going to go to decorations. In decorations, you got your usual stuff, which is, in this case, a steel platform from oil rig, aerials, furniture, an armory, barbed wire, barriers, beds, all of these items. Loads and loads of items. Vehicles that can't be driven, like your planes and your bulldozer, and there'll be a excavator in there as well. But I'm going to go straight to the bottom to these wooden fences, and I'm just going to choose this wooden fence here quickly. I'm going to go OK. Right, now that you've got the wooden fence and I want to make the thing, I'm going to go take it off, insert. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, click on the box on the left hand side, stick it in its, this one is obviously, I'm going to put it to decorations, group, decorations, OK. Right, once it's there, brilliant. Did I do the same for this one? You see, this is why you don't want to forget these things. So you're going to go buildings, group, buildings. Okay. Now in a situation where you have got a lot of items in a map, and you want to choose just one set of items, okay, I can click on this building, right click, select this group, and it'll select the buildings, or type, okay, unselect, select this type, it'll only select that one. But because I put this armory into the group, the same group, if I go select this group, it'll select the armory and the fence post, and select all. Select again, I'm going to group rotate, 1, 2, 3, OK, and I'm going to move it, and now this is moving in 1 meter increments, so you can get it right up against that wall nicely there. And then I can Control C, or you can go edit, copy, Control V, and boom, and it butts up just right against the other one, so you don't get gaps between them. Control V again, because you've obviously still got it selected and you still got it copied. Oops, sorry. Control V, put it down, right click, group rotate, 1, 2, 3, okay, move, and it butts up beautifully against that. Okay, now say we want to put a little gate in here, so we'll go back to the insert mode, go back to the thing, the gate entry post is there, click OK, off insert mode, move it to there, don't forget to put it in its layer of decorations and its group of decorations, click OK, here you go, that one, control copy, control V, there, control V again, put it down, rotate it, group rotate, 1, 2, 3, okay, move, it butts up nicely, control copy, control V, and there you go. Now you probably find that this one may have gone into the actual building there, but it doesn't matter because from what I remember we can't actually get into this building, so that should be a-okay. So now if you want to see on a 3D vision on the wireframe what this looks like, you take the two fences and you go like that. Okay, if you rotate them, you see they're nice, they're all in line, everything's perfect. Okay, go out of there, go to building, rotate the whole lot, press 5 to center the building, press minus to zoom out, and you can see it's there. It is a bit difficult to see, but you will get used to it. Okay. Right, so you've done this. You want to put a bit of foliage in now. So at this point, you can right click, insert mode. We're going to put a tree inside here. So we'll go to foliage, and this will give you all of your trees and bushes. Okay. Now you'll notice that there's a lot of them that's just like a one-off. Okay. Or you'll see large group of snowy pine trees. The nice thing about a group is you can only put so many items into a map, so many decorations and buildings. So if you put in a group of things, there'll be a bunch of trees in that group, and it only counts as one item. So keep that in mind. Sorry. So I'm going to choose this how, and I'm going to say okay, and there's the how, right? And I want to choose a tree as well, so we're going to go down through various things. See, these are groups again. That's a group, that's a group. It's a bit of a group. There we go. That's a group of trees, palms, but I just want one. There we go. I'm going to choose that jungle tree and I'm going to go OK. Take my right click off, remove my jungle tree, stick him in the corner of my garden, move my how, move him to where he'd be. As you can see, he's moving jumpy, so he's moving to he's snapping to the grid. Then I'm going to go click both of them, drop down, foliage, group, foliage, OK, unselect all, file, save and export. That'll tell you what you got. 0 people, 0 vehicles, 12 buildings and decorations, 3 markers. Okay. Now, where your layers and that come in now, if you had a bunch of stuff in there and you wanted to work in this area and there was just too much, it was trees covering too much space in that, you could turn things off. Like you can turn off your foliage. Okay, trees are gone. Layers. Turn off your buildings. Okay, the buildings are gone. Only the decorations are left. Turn them back on again. So it all comes into itself, as you can see. Right, welcome back. You've obviously seen that I've done a bit of work to the map since, oops, let's select this window. Since I last spoke to you, yes, yes. This is the numbering of the waypoints. Let me show you quickly what I've done. I added a couple more waypoints so that I could move our starting place out a little bit. But what I did was I just copied and I pasted extra waypoints on. So obviously the first waypoint is waypoint 0. Next one is waypoint 1. Now obviously because I've copied, all it's done is it's gone waypoint 1, waypoint 1, waypoint 1. So I need to change that to 2. And I need to change that one to 3. There we go. And that's set, right? So it'll bring us from outside in. I've also, oops, wrong way, put a wall around, put a gate in, put some trees in. These are, as you can see on the left hand side, barriers. You've got your usual buildings, your trees, barriers on this side again. But the reason I brought you back at this point was that's your gate, and that unit there is an open boom. Is that I want to show you tiles, right? Tiles are very handy. Obviously, if you look at your map, your screen, you've got no roads or anything sort of marked out, but you can put roads in. It's a long, drawn-out process. It's, I'd say, more used for if you're using jungle terrain, because obviously you've got the grass and everything growing around you. But if you go to your tiler over here, you will see basically what they call char tiles, and you can drag it down and it shows you all the different tiles you have. So because we've chosen a desert terrain, there's obviously no greenery. So I can take this char tile here, which has got a bit of greenery on it, and I can put it in this area right now. As you can see, again, it's snapping to the 1 meter grid. So I click there and it puts it down. I can then go Control C, Control V, and it makes a copy of that exact tile, snap it to the grid, click it there, Control V, snap it there. You can now go back and click, killing 3 of them, Control C, Control V, snap it, and again Control V, move it in, snap it, Control V, and snap it again. I'll do it 2 more times, there, and I'll do it there, right, and then unselect all. This doesn't actually give you grass, it just gives you the terrain you're walking on will look a little bit like grass. It'll be green. If you want to put a road in, you can either put a dirt track type road, or you can put concrete. Take this one for example here. You can use this one, and you can put it in there where you'd be coming in from. Say move it across a little bit like that. Snap 1, Control copy V, snap 2, V, snap 3, grab the 3 of them, copy, and again, right, there you go, unselect all. So that'll give you the impression of a road when you're coming into the map. I don't think there's a limit. I don't know. I don't think there's a limit on how many tiles you can put in to a map. I've put quite a few tiles into maps before. Like I said, there is a limit on buildings and decorations. I think it's 1,500 items that you can put in. There's a limit to how many people you can put in. You can put in about 140, I think. It's less than 200. It's more than 100. Obviously, the benefit you got from this over what we started playing on was Land Warrior, is that with this you can make people respawn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of people in now quickly, so you get an idea of how they look when you put them in and what to do. I'll also put some on top of the bridge um, by the gate, so you can see what we have to do in Med to get these guys upstairs. So we start off with right click, insert mode, left click anywhere on the map, go down to people, you got birds, civilian people, IC3, IC2, you just move on down. You get just start off with your army guys. It'll tell you also on this what weapon he's got. This is an Indonesian soldier, number one, with an MP5 silenced. So although it looks like he's holding an AK, it'll be an MP5 silenced. IC2, AK-47, AK-47 standing. Excuse me. Some of them, lie down. But I think if you select the standing ones, they do stand. And you go through, you've got your usual guys with the RPGs, the javelins, the stingers, the Dragunov, and you move down. Yeah, they've got a different color gear on, obviously from a different international conflict. And then you've got your friendly soldiers. Now, friendly soldiers, as you'll probably know from the gaming, you can make them bad guys as well. And they like putting these friendly soldiers with a sword as bad guys. In fact, I'll do that. I'll put the friendly soldier with a sword. So you go, okay. And that's what your guy looks like. Right click, insert mode off, click on him, click your item attributes. I move him to number 2 because that should be red players, because here he goes to group 2 red players. Team, he's automatically set at good blue because he's supposed to be a good guy, but we're making him a bad guy, so we turn him to evil red. Alert state green, weapon accuracy 1 and 2. What this means is the first shot he fires, what that'll be, and that's percentage. And the second shot he fires, what that'll be. So if you leave it at 100, it's a shit game because they kill you straight away. So what we tend to do is make accuracy 1, I do it about 60, and accuracy 2, about 80. Fire timer is time he'll wait before firing. Every 10 seconds he'll fire. You can knock that down if you want. Spawns without pause. Alright? Spawns waypoint pause. Waypoint pauses, that's for something different. But spawns is how many times he will come alive again. So if you leave it at 0, shoot him once, he's dead, he's gone. 2, 3, 4, he'll come alive 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay? So I'll just leave that at 0. His attack distance and that is set to standard at 16, 320, and 16. You can change these. You can take so that he attacks at a much further distance, at like 500 meters. But you've got to bear in mind that some of these maps have got fog in them and that. And fog does not affect bots the way it affects us. Bots don't see fog. They still see us. We see fog. That's why you get people who believe their AI is too high, and in the fog they're shooting the crap out of you and you cannot see them because they don't see the fog. They still see you. And if they set for a long way, you need to set it so that where you see them is where they see you. So you'll change all of that there. I'll leave that standard. Now, you need to, if one of your things is to eliminate all resistance, and then that has to be an event that happens to move the map on to the next point or to end it, then if this is the guy that's going to be part of that, you have to make them a mission critical item. If he's going to follow waypoints, you would select waypoints here for him. Okay, there's blue points, that's our points. He doesn't get to follow those. But he's not following waypoints, right? Advancement level, I've never used it, but they say it doesn't work on Med. I don't know how true it is. You can give it a try. And then these buttons here is whether he's a coward, he'll run away. I don't think advanced ammo works. Berserk means he'll just go nuts and shoot at anything and anybody, and if there's a movement, he'll shoot at it. If he's blind, well, it says what it is on the tin. You can walk right past him, he won't shoot you, he won't do anything. What we tend to do is when we're testing our maps to see where everyone is, we set everyone as blind. And then you can take a walk through your map and you can see where the guys are all standing and make sure they're all standing in the right place, facing the right way and that. So I tend to set mine blind to start off with. Guarding tends that he'll stay at one place and guard it and shoot from there. Indestructible speaks for itself. Shoot the crap out of him, he won't die. No point in having him as a mission critical item if he is indestructible. Reflective, I'm not sure what reflective is, but no shadow I think is when they're standing on buildings and the sun is behind them, they don't cast a shadow. I leave all of that crap the way it is. Don't bother with all of that. Indestructible for some vehicles, maybe. Blind for when you're doing your walkthrough. That's about it. Now green, yellow and red. I've heard yellow doesn't work. I tend to set mine to red. Okay, but I since read a forum that says if you set them to green, when they're following waypoints, they will just walk. They will immediately turn to red when you fire at them, and then they will start to attack whoever's firing at them. If you set them to red, they are always on high alert, which means when they go from waypoint to waypoint, if they set to waypoints, they're running. If they're standing around, they're ready to fight. They don't just sort of lounge around and that. I set them to green on this one. And then what else have we got? Yeah, that's about it on here. So we'll just hit OK. So there he is. That's our dude there, right? If you want to see him on a 3D wireframe, that's what he looks like. That's Super Dude for you, standing at ground level. So now let's put one of these chappies on this bridge. Okay, so that's the building. You see it on the left. That's the bridge over the road. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unselect all, because I'm selecting everything now. I'm going to select Super Dude. I'm going to Control copy him, Control V, and I'm going to stick him bang underneath the bridge. Okay, like that. Unselect him at this point. Now select your building and then select him, right? And go to 3D frame. Hit 5. Hit minus, 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 minus. Do turn, 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 turn. Okay. And there you go. So he's standing underneath the bridge. At this point, if you hold the shift key down and you push the up arrow, he would start to raise. Now, if you have an idea of how high these are, you can actually go in and just set his Z value. Sometimes if they're raising a long way, I'll just go and set a Z value. And the Z value is the height value. You'll probably find for this bridge, the Z value is probably about 3 meters, give or take some. You've also got to allow for the terrain that they're standing on. At the moment, we're using flat terrain, so that should be okay. But if he's on a bumpy terrain, they will take the value from the lowest point of the ground. So you've got to take that into note. Later on, I'll show you how to work with water. That's the best way to get stuff to fit. Right, see there, I made him a little bit higher than the ground, but not high enough to kill himself. So he'll fall a couple of inches, and there he is. And if we carry on rotating him, there he stands. Round and round we go. Where we stop, no one knows. Unselect all. And that's him. He's now standing on the bridge, crossing the road. Now, don't make a mistake of copying him and trying to move him around, because if you move him at 3 meters high. Okay, so if I copied him now and I put him, say, over here, when the game started, he'd fall 3 meters and die. And if he was a respawner, then he'd respawn, fall 3 meters and die again. Make sure that you move the guy at ground level. So Control Copy, Control V, and you can put him in here. Put another one, Control Copy, Control V, and put him over there. Okay. If you need to rotate these guys, if they're facing the wrong way, you can click on it, right click, group rotate, and rotate like so. Okay. That should mean he's now facing the road. And this half circle is the angle of what he sees. Now on the Land Warrior Med, we could actually change it so you could see 360 degrees, but I haven't seen how to do that on this one. Right, so there you go. That's the first part of your map sorted out. You've learned how to do tiles. You've learned how the grid system works. You've learned how to set up your waypoints. You've learned how to set up your groups, your layers, put your buildings in, and put some foliage in, and where to get your markers from. So I'm going to leave it with that for the moment, and then I will do another video. Actually, no, I'll just carry on going with this. What I'll show you next is, okay, I'm going to make this really simple. I'm going to finish this tutorial like this, okay? So we're going to say in this tutorial, if you go to edit, general information, it eliminates all resistance. So we're going to go, okay. So our resistance is going to be these 3 guys here. Now, I don't know if my Fraps is working to see if I can get a video of it, but I'll see what I can do. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go to edit again, and I'm going to go to events. Okay, events, I should really take more time to explain this because these can be quite technical. But basically your events is what happens in the game, and you've got events to to do everything, to make people go places, to make people come from places, to vaporize things, to teleport things, to move things, to make sounds, to do everything. We're going to keep it simple at the moment, and we're just going to go with the first event, which I like to call goals, GOALS. Okay, and I'm going to add a trigger. Double click on trigger, drop it down, and I'm going to go for group, and I'm going to go for any alive. That means if there's any of that group alive, this event will happen. The group is going to be blue players. So if there's any of us alive when the map starts, which there always is because you start in a place where you're always alive, then it's going to trigger this event. Go OK. Go to action. Go show win sub goal. The sub goal is eliminate all resistance, and I think you have to change the variable status to 1. I always do. Okay. So now what that means is that when the game starts and you push your space bar and you get in the game, you get that little and it says the new event added or something to that effect, right? You push your G key and it'll show the goal, and it'll say eliminate all resistance, right? So then you go new event, say win game, new trigger, and we'll say group again, all destroyed, red players. Okay. New action. Go down, down, down. Win blue. Okay. And okay. That's simple. That is the most dead simple it can be. Right. File. Save and export. Okay. I'm going to try this. I don't know if this operating system is going to pick this up, but I'll give it a go. Drop that down. Bring that up. Let's see if the game starts. Right, we're back again. Okay, I'm going to show you this quickly. Let's get it up. What I told you earlier on regarding all the waypoints, all of the layers and groups, I've loaded another map here, which is not in the same area as we were, so we have to move up to it. But if you look at it, let me just get up to our 512 again. I'll show you why you like to keep your stuff neatly in groups and that. This is a stock map that's been converted, and those are all waypoints, but those aren't waypoints for just one thing. Those are waypoints for where's my mouse? A couple of vehicles here on the left, vehicles here, vehicles and people here, and obviously people and vehicles up here. Now, there's a load of different waypoints here, but you see, the thing is that this guy who's made this has left them all the same color. He hasn't set up any layer names or anything like that. So when it comes to this, it's really awkward to actually see what's going on and working with it. So this is my point about you want to set up your maps tidily. That way you can get a better, and you'll get a better map out of it at the end of the day. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show you from there. I hope this tutorial has been okay, and if you have any problems, you feel free to just send me a message, send it on YouTube. It'll come back to me. At some point I'll set up an email address and you can email me with that. Or if you want to come find me, I'm generally playing on the Silent Killers server. I play as Zimwolf. Silent Killers server, International Conflict. Just give me a holler when you get in there. Tell me who you are and what it's about. And yeah, I use Silent Killers Ventrilo as well. So if you need to talk to me, we can get on Ventrilo. I can talk you through anything that I know and tell you where to find things if I don't know them. Happy mapping. Hope to play some of your maps soon.